So now we have the final battleground in this third wave of Forbidden Battlegrounds. This one is easily the hardest one, not just because of the enemies involved, but also because of the factions they're asking you to use, which in this case are Strategic Masters and Princess Alliance. So this strat clear is going to be a little bit tricky for me. There's no SR buff for the Strategic faction, but the good news is that almost every single character in the Strategic faction is also an Empire anyway. So I can just use a team that looks very similar to the team that I used to clear the Empire challenge earlier. I have Lance here to buff the party. I've unlocked 6C for him, but he still doesn't have a hard bond. Vargas is tanking, of course. Imelda here to whip people and provide some passive healing. And two MVPs here are going to be Emmerich and Egbert here. So first we have Emmerich here providing what he is most well known for. He can lock down the tank so I can immediately kill this incredibly annoying mage who has Spatial Strike. Allowing this guy to run around and cast a spell is just annoying as hell, and it would just result in a video that's impossible to follow because of the displacement placing everybody in random spaces. And the annoying thing is that this map has multiple displacement enemies, but at least a combination of Emmerich and a whipped Vargas can take out the most annoying one. The other two annoying displacement enemies are these stupid bone dinos that have the Leon 3-cost skill. One of them has generously run up to my face so I can just beat him up and let Vargas counter him to death on enemy phase, which is why I whipped him instead of Emmerich. As for the other one, that is why I've brought Egbert here. I just have to bring out Egbert's awesome summon and have the summon teleport way up into the north next to where the other bone dino is. And by doing this, I can make the other bone dino waste the 3-cost skill on just blowing up this crappy summon, instead of doing it in my face, which would just be very, very annoying. Like I said, the other bone dino is already in my face. I used Lance to take out all his troops, and since Vargas not only has Power Stab up, but also has been whipped by Imelda, he's going to have no trouble countering the bone dino to death. So even though he does get to use the Leon 3 cost, since he dies while doing it, he's not going to do the displacement after battle. And with that, that's already all the most annoying parts of this map taken care of. The annoying as hell displacements are the only thing that make this map in any way difficult. So if you can find some way of dealing with them like I have here, the rest of the map pretty much falls into place. It becomes a very straightforward tank and spank kind of fight. So there is really only one concern left, when that is the Knightmaster, who is still far away from the group. Now the way I decide to deal with him here is to just use Desiccate on Egbert. Now true that this is a 50-50 chance, but I don't think it's too bad because honestly you can just reset this map over and over as much as you want. I can't really think of any other way of dealing with him, at least not with the SR strategic characters, and certainly not with strategic characters who don't all have hard bonds. But aside from that one thing, it's really just letting Vargas tank and killing the rest of them very slowly. So the rest of this particular clear is probably going to be a little bit boring. So if you want to see the Princess clear, I guess you can skip ahead. I'll see you guys there.
備は整った。
大したことないね。だからしない。
承知いたしました。仰せのまま。甘いんだよ。どうされました。はっ。
好きなだけあがきなさい。
準備は整った。準備は任せろ。仰せのままに。準備は整った。仰せのままに。はっはっはっ。
好きなだけあがきなさい。
仰せのままに。承知いたしました。任せろ。はっはっ。準備は整った。仰せの仰せのままに。仰せのままに。どうされました。仰せのままに。その程度が。準備は整った。仰せのままに。おめ汚しだが。
好きなだけあがきなさい。
仰せのままに。準備は整った。承知いたしました。仰せのままに。承知いたしました。はっ。承知いたしました。仰せの承知いたしました。はっ。仰せのままに。準備は整った。任せろ。どうされ。
好きなだけあがきなさい。
承知。仰せのままに。 承知いたしました。
So let's finish off this Forbidden Battleground with this Princess clear. So as you can see, I have brought a lot of characters that you have seen me use before. I have SP Freya here as my tank, and the rest of the group are all units you have seen me use quite often. Now the thing you'll immediately notice is that I do not have a guard lock of any sort, so it's going to be very tricky for me to deal with that stupid spatial strike mage. My only choice here is to try to manipulate his AI by staying far away from him. Now thankfully the guy is actually using bolt rangers, so that means that this forest I'm going to be staying around in is actually going to be a lot of trouble for him. And using a combination of the forest screwing up his movement and the AI in this game being kind of predictable, I can try to eventually separate him from the bishop that's guarding him. But until then, I do need to be concerned about the two bone dinos that have Leon's 3-cost skill. Now similar to what I did in the strat clear, I let the first bone dino just charge towards me and fall short of actually hitting me. That way I can just take him out on player phase without much fuss. Now the thing to note here is where I decide to place all my units by the end of the turn. First you'll notice that I've placed every unit behind Freya in such a way so that when the second bone dino comes running down, the flyer general would have already tried to attack Narm, which plugs off that spot and prevents the bone dino from attacking there. So that makes it so that the only targets that the bone dino can go for are either Chris or Freya. Since both of them are using Lancer soldiers, that means the AI thinks both of them have an advantage over it. So since that makes them equal in priority in terms of target selection, the bone dino instead opts to attack the closest target, which in this case is Freya. And because of the way I've lined up my units, the ring AoE that comes afterwards only displaces Freya and doesn't damage anybody else. This is really important because there's actually quite a few AoEs on this map, and unless you have insanely tanky units, they're just going to kill you using those AoEs. The Lobster, for example, has Master of Ice and it actually does a lot of damage. So Freya's displacement here can be any square within a ring of the Bone Dino, but that's actually not that huge of a concern because when it comes to player phase, I can just use my units to kill some of the enemies that might be blocking Freya's way in case she gets displaced to a tile that's too inconvenient, and that way I can just regroup. After I do that, I just use Sonya to use her 3-cost skill on the annoying Spatial Strike Mage. This does a couple things. First off, this of course puts Curse of Wounding on the Spatial Strike Mage, which allows me to damage it while not staying within its threat range by attacking the Lobster, since the Lobster has a juggler-like talent and just heals everybody anytime you hit it. So of course with a Curse of Wounding on that mage, I can just attack the Lobster over and over and damage the mage. That way when the mage is too close for comfort, I can just use one of my units and easily take him out the rest of the way. The other thing using Sonya to attack him in that way does is that it actually plugs up the pathway that he can use to reach my party. Because once again, the mage is using Bolt Rangers, and this part of the map is mostly forest with just one little strip of grasslands down the left side. This does mean I have to sacrifice Sonya, but you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. I didn't bring Roga along, so I don't need to make up any excuses or anything like that. Anyway, once the mage is out of the way, the rest of the fight is pretty simple. I have enough healing power here to make sure Freya can stay alive, and of course Regenerate from Sophia helps to ensure that the Phalanx are doing a lot of tanking here. I do have maxed out Lancer techs, so the low HP Lancers I have here actually do a lot of tanking. You know, if I allowed myself to use SSRs, I could just use Rosensteel and she would actually solve a lot of the issues with this map, namely the annoying smash attack from the leftover cavalry general. I could also bring Tiaras for more healing, and of course I can bring Yulia, who, you know, is Yulia. But with that out of the way, that is going to be the final Forbidden Battleground this time. I tried my best to clear with only SR characters where it applied, and failing that I tried to use characters that most people have, for example Layden in the protagonist clear, or Bozel in the mythical clear. If you guys already cleared these maps, I hope these videos were at least entertaining to see that it's possible to clear these maps with SR teams. And if you're still having trouble with these maps, hopefully you found these videos a little bit helpful. And if you're still having trouble, don't hesitate to ask some questions below, and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
しましたか？これでいいですか？いくよ。はいはいいくよ。気づかないうちにごめんなさいね。こっちだよ。どうかしましたか？いくよ。はい